Sharks have fueled people's nightmares for decades, largely a result of their depiction in modern cinema. All across the globe, sharks are now a villain. This, however, may not be as scary as this. As scientists continue to sound the alarm about the collapse of the world's largest ecosystem, the ocean, the status of sharks worldwide should frighten people. Although it isn't what sharks are doing to man that ought to worry us, but what man is doing to sharks that should be cause for concern. While sharks kill an average of 10 people annually, humans kill an estimated 100 million sharks each year. In the face of climate change, it isn't an ocean with sharks that has ecologists worried, but an ocean without sharks that does. Many different species of shark now face extinction as a result of industrial fishing. The world's appetite for fish, and particularly the Asian market for shark fin soup, is driving this crisis. Should these trends continue, marine ecosystems across the world could very well face collapse. I got the feeling that my own species had developed an irrational fear of sharks. I wanted to find out if our fear towards these animals was blinding us to the possibility of their extinction. Jim Abernethy is a marine conservationist who has dedicated his life to the preservation of sharks. Abernethy has spent decades trying to show the world that sharks are not the man-eating monsters pop culture would have you believe.
Rob, look, I see waves coming our way. They're going to be 2 to 3 centimeters.
I joined Abernethy in the waters of the Bahamas in hopes of learning the true nature of sharks. Bait is dropped in the water, and before long, dorsal fins begin circling. Abernethy pioneered diving with large, predatory sharks without a cage, adamant that doing so was relatively safe because sharks don't see humans as a food source. Following Abernethy's instructions, myself and a few fellow divers prepare for our very first shark dive. Guys, how you feeling?
Very great!
Looks to see if there's any tiger sharks, and then he rolls in slowly. There he's rolling in, see no splash. He grabs the line, which is right there, and he goes down the line. Piece of cake.
I was in the ocean, surrounded by about 40 sharks, including tiger sharks, and I realized something incredible. I wasn't in much danger.
When you're in the water with sharks, or even a large shark like a tiger shark, I don't really think that there's words capable of accurately describing all the sensory systems that are overloaded and peaked at the top of what is really happening inside you. All these different feelings that go through your mind that leave you kind of speechless. That, wow, that was magic. And that's what people need to see. I mean, nobody comes out of a shark dive thinking that was a near-death experience, which is exactly what these shark shit shows would make you believe is happening. The truth is, if everyone could just do one shark dive, we would have already saved sharks.
Abernethy gets chased by sharks every time he's in the water, not because they want to taste him, but because they want to get their heads rubbed. For over 2 decades, Abernethy has been showing sharks affection, the very same way someone might to a golden retriever.
The misconception that sharks are mindless man-eating monsters. Nothing could be further from the truth. If you look at the statistics that show bites on humans from different animals, you'll see that being with sharks every single day like I am is actually one of the safest things you can do on the planet. We look at animals like the domestic dog and the domestic cat as not being dangerous, but in reality they bite somebody every 40 seconds in the United States alone, resulting in 16 to 20 deaths per year. Way, way, way more than sharks do worldwide.
The craziest thing about what Abernethy just said is that, well, he's right. Throughout my time in the water, it was clear that sharks may just be the most misunderstood creatures on the planet.
Most people are concerned about man-eating sharks, but the truth of the matter is, what they should be concerned about is man-eating sharks into extinction. The drive for shark fin soup worldwide has eradicated most of the large sharks on the planet. In fact, scientists say that 90% of all sharks, big sharks, are already gone. And if you look at the population of almost 500 species, or slightly over 500 species, almost 1/3 of all those species are listed with some type of endangerment, meaning they're headed for extinction. It's just a matter of time. If we don't make consumptive changes in our diet, that we will run out of sharks in the oceans, which is very sad because it's the controlling factor in our oceans that controls the balance and health of our oceans. With over 70% of the air we breathe and over 50% of the protein we eat coming from our oceans, it's critical, no matter where you live on the planet, that we don't kill the controlling factor to maintain the health and balance of our oceans. The biggest threat to sharks right now is man, by far. It's overfishing. Our drive to eat seafood is wiping out our oceans. A report just came out today that says that 86% of all the plastics in the ocean comes from overfishing. The industry of fishing is essentially killing everything in the oceans. And unfortunately, the root of all evil is the philosophy that in order to be successful, you need to make money. So people get out of school and try to make as much money as they possibly can, when the truth is, happiness is the most important thing in the world, not destroying our planet. Unfortunately, our species was brought up thinking that money is the most important factor. So we fight to make more money. So if an animal has a lot of ecotourism like they do in Tiger Beach where we just were, then the animal's worth in Bahamas $120 million yearly. Those people are going to protect it because it's worth a lot. However, if they didn't have ecotourism, then each shark would be worth about $200 for the fins, and that immediate gratification would take over. But fortunately, countries like the Bahamas had the foresight to see that if based on money alone, it's worthwhile to save them. They say that those sharks that we saw, each one is worth $250,000 over the course of its lifetime. In Florida, where we are right now, We don't have that foresight. In Florida, we kill 1.6 million sharks a year, and that money from there brings in $160,000 a year. Yet the tourism for shark diving in Florida is $220 million. But we don't have the foresight to do what our neighbors, the Bahamians, did, and that is protect our wildlife while we still have time.
By now, I'm certain that I'd gone most of my life with an irrational fear of sharks, one propagated mostly by their depiction in film and TV. Soon, we get ready for another dive, this time at night. I begin to think about the dark water, the fins behind the boat, and the fear comes back. But as you'll see, that fear was misplaced. Day or night, it was painfully obvious that I was just one of many who'd been wrong all along about sharks. Jaws and every other shark movie that came after was just that, a movie and nothing more. There was no truth to such cinema.
Our media knows that the most watched shows are going to be the most dangerous shows. So they made the shark into a villain, essentially making it into a mindless man-eating monster, and nothing could be farther from the truth. And because of that, these shark shit shows, as I call them, basically make a lot of money. And channels like Discovery Channel Shark Week have been making these shark shit shows for decades, and they make a lot of money from it. But the sad thing is that it makes people hate sharks, and all over the world, most people think that the only good shark is a dead shark, and they just shoot it in the head when they see it in the ocean, which is part of the cascading collapse of our oceans and our creatures in it. Eventually, this will be our own demise as well, because we are all connected. It's the biodiversity and abundance of animals that allows all the animals to live. Once we start pulling out the dominoes of the biodiversity, especially when we start at the top with apex predators, soon we will realize, in fact we're already realizing it, the collapse of removing apex predators from the trophic cascade. You'll have this collapse all the way down through the ecosystem, and it will continue until there's nothing left. Presently, we're 72% through the world's 6th extinction. We're working on 28% of the animals still alive that were alive. All of those animals were alive when I was born, just 60 years ago. We are accelerating this rate of extinction because we haven't learned to stop it. And the worst thing that we do to accelerate this mass extinction of all the animals on planet Earth is our consumption. If we would just take the time to choose the plant-based alternatives to meat and stop eating agricultural animals, nature will heal itself. Probably the number one thing that is destroying our planet is the consumption of agricultural animals, including fish. Presently, 52% of all the land used on planet Earth is used for agricultural animals. And because we have wiped out tropical rainforests so that we can raise cattle, is having huge effects that just have a domino effect right out and down the ecosystem, wiping out one species right after another. And we need to stop that.
Yes, it sounds bleak, but Abernethy remains hopeful.
One of the best things that you can do, no matter where you are on the planet, is to change what you're eating. Switch over to a plant-based diet. That'll get rid of the leading cause of 10 of the world's worst problems. But that's not going to take care of all the problems, because right now we chose to embrace one-time use plastics, which is choking most of the wildlife on our planet. Learn more about conservation and the needs to protect our animals, and be kind to all animals. The days of barbaric slaughter and misuse of all animals are over. We know that all animals on the planet, including sharks, are sentient creatures, and it's time that we all step forward and be humane and treat animals with the respect and admiration that they deserve, including our cows, pigs, and chickens, which need it the most. I'm very optimistic because of what the human species has done. In times of need, we have come up with extremely creative ways to fix the problems of the past, because our own lives depend on it. So if you're concerned about your health, as well as your children seeing the same animals you have, there's really no reason for anyone to ever eat another animal again.